or you're 50 something, or you're 70 something. It doesn't matter. To be relevant, you have to be current. And to be current, you have to have the willingness to learn. And you have to have the willingness to learn and step out of your comfort zone and sometimes push yourself a little bit. I was taught in religious science years ago that, this teaching is about stretching. Stretching means stretching outside of everything you've known and stepping forward to do something different. Because the thing about life is life goes forward with you or without you. And if you want to be on the cutting edge of anything, you've got to do your part. You've got to take the course. Life is a lifelong learning process. And right now, it's no different than it's ever been before. There's new things on the table, new things to deal with, and new things to embrace. I've always maintained from the teaching, if it's in my life, it's in my consciousness, and it's there, and there's something for me to address. So there's no point in cursing what's here and talking about ain't it awful or poor me, because that's not what we do. We understand that everything that happens in life is here for us to grow and to evolve, and it's happening for us, not to us. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you all here. I hope you like those new videos. We've done a few of them, and they're getting a lot of positive notice and drawing people to us. So welcome to the First Center for Spiritual Living in New York. This is the home of Barker and Louise, as you all know. Today I've got a new talk or lesson that I've been working on. I don't know, it seems for days, and it undoubtedly needs to be pared down. And so we'll see if I can keep on script. We're talking about today our potential. And everything I study would suggest to me that I'm not living up to my full potential. And I can safely say that most people are not living up to their full potential. Our teaching would tell us that we exist, though, as this limitless being with full potential, and we use a fraction of our mind, right? I was taught early at Unity and in my Science of Mind classes many years ago that we use just about a touch of our abilities. Scientists will bear that out also, saying that we use but a fraction of our mind. So I've been getting these messages forever, for years, for many years, too many to count. Messages that I can or I could create a better life. So we ask here always, or we ask this question in a variety of ways, who have you come here to be in this life? We know from the Science of Mind teaching that we're here to express life. And the question comes up, we say it in different ways, are you living your best life?
No.
Are you living a life that is happy, joyous, and free? Are you filled with positive expectancy? That's such a beautiful question. One of my dear friends, Danny Bowman, years ago, put it that simply, right in a nutshell. He says, this whole teaching is about learning to live with positive expectancy, which is just about the opposite of what most people do. Ernest Holmes said, there is power for good in the universe and you can use it. Now you hear me say that every week. You can use it to manifest a great life. You can. A greater life than you have ever imagined. A life where you are mastering the possibilities. A life where you are taking nothing personally. That's a big one. If you're taking things personally and people say things you don't like, or you get all twisted up over every last thing, what a pity. Because people are doing the best they can and you're reacting to everything. So we work on that here. People complain, they gripe a lot, they whine, and all of their projections about what's wrong and all of that really don't have to touch you very much. They don't have to touch you at all if you're not taking things personally. You might be living in such dynamics in your home, with your family, on your jobs, where everything is bothering you. And I've asked you if that's the case, who's got the problem? If your nose is out of joint over everything, all people, what they're doing, how they're saying, whatever, Who has the problem? That's a lesson I learned by a very, very wonderful person. Her name was Joyce many years ago. Whose problem is it? As you grow and you continue to grow in this teaching, you know that you are supplied and supported, and you're always, always moving in the direction of your dreams. The directions of spirit, really, because spirit is that which directs your dreams and leads the way. Life is always leading you, giving you clues if you would only listen, right? Everything that's here, all things, all interactions, all people are here for you. Literally, you have brought them into your life by means of your consciousness. So everything is designed in that sense to be a teacher to you. Now, you could be listening here for the first time on Instagram, YouTube, or any of the channels that we're now producing. We're sending forth our message, and I'm really happy that we're able to reach so many people now. And I'm asking Jimmy every week to report to me the numbers of viewers and find ways to interact. I'm asking him to talk about that and put that in his reports, because it's really important for us to see, who we're reaching, and we want to find ways to engage them. I remember a song, you might remember, it's 1970. Some of you were alive then. Tom Jones, and he said, "I who have nothing," right? Remember the lyric? "And I who have no one," as the song went on. I want you to do something today that's just for a moment, a little exercise. I want you to get real. And I want you to stop trying to please everybody and become your own original thinker. Become your own original thinker. And that's really tough to do, because you got to remember, most of your thoughts are habituated. Most of your judgments and prejudices and ideas and opinions are things that you have acquired over time. So this teaching is asking you to stop and to create new moments that are full of possibility. And get real. Now, that's a saying that caused me to smile this weekend when I was putting my notes together, because I had a student, her name was Susan, who one day had the audacity to tell me to get real. No, ministers don't like it when their students tell them to get real. Susan loved the teaching, but she didn't quite fully believe the teaching. She wanted to believe. She liked the idea of the law of attraction, but she didn't quite believe that she could have a better life. Her weight was high and she didn't think she could lose it. She didn't believe anybody wanted her, anybody would ever love her, and all of that. And as I was preparing the lesson, I thought of her telling me off and telling me to get real when I was telling her she could have this great life. I understand, and I understood Susan at the time. I also knew that rationalizing why you're staying stuck doesn't move you forward. Defending yourself and your limitations only makes them set in just like concrete. You get to be right if you keep on saying, "I can't," and life is hard and nobody cares. And you get to be completely right if that's the way you want to live your life. And then, of course, nobody does and you can't. If you say it's over in any area of your life, then it truly is. Since most people don't live a limitless life, most people do not believe and live believing in positive expectancy. That isn't the reality of most people. But the people who come to these calls, who get involved in this type of center, are not most people. In fact, you're quite exceptional. They might tell you, if you're practicing this teaching, to get real, or they might even tell you to get lost, or they could say you're a lightweight, you're Pollyannish, you're like thinking everything is good and wonderful. A dreamer for just attempting to live your life from that way, from a positive perspective. Once again, the question, are you living your best life where you are an applauder? Are you? Where you're seeing the good, or do you have a real need to bitch and complain and whine and do some version of "ain't it awful" and the blame game? Are you making the most of your inner resources? Now you have limitless resources. You can lift your conversation so high that nothing can touch you, because you can create a world where nothing and no one is against you. You have the ability to do that. You realize, of course, you have these resources. I'll give you a test, a real quick test. Imagine you're walking down a busy street here in New York or wherever you are. Maybe you're at a train station or a stadium or someplace with a whole bunch of people, every kind of people, every age, every color, just humanity all buzzing around, right? Everybody's really busy, always. And they're all staring at their phones, these pieces of glass. Now, this is the 2020s after all. You know, people are communicating with their pieces of glass, even when they're walking. I don't think they notice anything other than what's on their piece of glass. But using your imagination, as you look at all these people, using your wand, you know, you have the ability here. We have this magic wand. Our word is our wand we create. Using our imagination, just think of all these people with your imagination. Imagine all of them suddenly woke up for just a minute. I mean, really, they woke up. They woke up from their busyness and they put down their pieces of glass and they're texting and they're worrying and they're reacting and they're just all the stuff that gets people all worried and excited. And they just realize for a moment who they really are. Imagine this group of people that you're thinking about. Imagine them full of knowledge, self-realization. Imagine that they fully realized that they are individualizations of source without limiting beliefs. Imagine that if you can. All of these people for a moment full of joy, smiles on their faces, knowing that they're one with the one, full of wisdom, trusting, confident, exuding calm and peace. Yeah, I know, it almost seems like too much to imagine. But if you participated in this exercise and you went down that little imagining exercise with me, you have just gained a glimpse into the future of mankind. Awake, alive, happy, connected. You just got a glimpse of what it will be like. This is the direction of spirit. The world as we know it, sadly, is not there yet, but you can be. You can be like that now, alive and awake, not staring into your phone. You can look at people and smile, and you can look at people in confidence, knowing who you are and who they are. A few from every age do live that way and have lived that way. And it is such a gift to find a teaching like ours and to develop the awareness that comes from the practice of this teaching. The world is definitely evolving in consciousness. I mean, consciousness is rising, but it's never rising as fast as you think it is. It's never happening the way we'd like everybody to live as one. I mean, come on, you know, we've been singing these songs forever, right? But the fact of the matter is, the world is, in some ways, even though human knowledge doubles every other day, the world itself, the world still, you know, is in a consciousness that's somewhat, it just isn't there yet, right? So it doesn't seem to happen fast enough. When we're younger, many of us tried to change the world. And over time, you realize the world, if you practice this teaching, you realize that the world is really okay. And the change that we go from trying to change the world and protesting everything that's wrong to waking up that the change that needs to happen within ourselves. I can experience the peace and joy and harmony and bliss now in my day-to-day living if I really want to. And all of us know this who are involved in this teaching, who join in our classes and our gatherings, who plug in. And as you do, you start to see more and more of this exceptional life. I recall in college, seems 100 years ago, we all imagined an end to the war and a time of peace. And there were many songs. I was thinking of many of them this weekend. I can remember some of the great ones like Peace Train, or everyone in New York knows Imagine. Everyone in the world knows Imagine by John Lennon. All the great lyrics envisioned us living as one. It was a powerful time. Poets and writers of these great songs and lyrics were visionaries of sorts. All these sentiments, great sentiments, can stir you because they speak of the truth. I remember being a young kid coming to New York City, and I remember standing in front of the United Nations building, and it kind of like gave me the chills. It stirred me because it represented a much bigger idea, and it still does. Contemplating one life, one people, one world, oneness, and a world that works for everyone, all people, everywhere, every person, all people included. I remember learning as a young New Thought student a principle that I've referred back to again and again throughout the years. Ideas such as wholeness and unity and one healing energy. I'm aware that all of life is moving forward toward this unity. I've had glimpses of it throughout my life. Many of you too have done so also, I'm sure. I'll say it to you a way that was said to me some 30 years ago. All healing is already accomplished in the mind of God. It's a done deal. So what do I have to do? I just have to get my bloated nothingness out of the way so I can experience this beautiful, exceptional life. Everybody that you see is moving towards healing. The only thing is, it's done on God's time, or it's done in consciousness. We are evoluting or evolving toward that, toward an awakened life, toward harmony. Some of you on this call understand exactly what I'm talking about, toward a healed world, a whole world. I'm very lucky, I realize it, and I think many of you are too. You're lucky to have found a teaching like this. You want to support it in every way you can. You want to contribute to it and be a part of it. It takes a long time for people to really get and understand what we teach here. You'll feel good when you come here initially because we're going to tell you how great you are. But it takes a while for you to develop self-mastery, where you live in a world where nothing and no one is against you, and you really have the capacity to not be moved by the opinions of the world, and you're on point, and you're focused on who you have come here to be. Many people, many religions are still operating in a world of duality. It's an important word for New Thought students because we don't believe in duality. We believe that there is one life, one power, one energy. Dualities such as God above, or who's good and who's bad, and what's good and what's bad, strong opinions about what is right and what is wrong, or who is right and who is wrong. Many, many live with all kinds of judgments that are hurting most of all themselves. Okay, people have a lot of prejudice and preconceived ideas. I know I've had plenty. Prejudice is simply pre-deciding. It's very, I've told you this, I've shared it in so many lessons. You know, we come into these relationships and we think we're having new moments, but we're not, because we already have all this stuff that we have prejudged about just about everybody we know. It takes some effort to be in a new moment with anyone. It's very difficult for many of us to get past our past. I will say again this week, for your own sake, for my sake, let us release the need to hold on to any resentment, any anger, or any judgment. Remember always that everyone is doing the best that they can with what they understand. And you know, they will do more, they will evolve, they will change, as will we. In this teaching, you will learn how to be a lifter, perpetually and always a lifter, a person who can say good and great, and you know, and really be complimentary to people because you have the understanding that they're doing the best they can. If you're doing your work as we do in mind and consciousness, you're learning to be a champion, an applauder of life everywhere. Everyone's efforts and everyone's steps forward. You're here to say, great. You're not here to tear them down. They don't need your criticism. They need your appreciation, if anything, or your silence. You will gain spiritual understanding here as you learn to live the affirmative life, as you practice and practice, seeing the good. You will come to believe and know that the healing has already occurred in the mind of God. We, as Louise Hay would say, trust the process of life. We trust life. As we come here to celebrate the truth every week, we are resolved to create this exceptional life now. We have the power within ourselves. It just awaits our discovery and use. We can live an expansive and exceptional life. We have the ability to master the possibilities and to live the best life possible. We have a teaching that can change the world. Everybody's invited, of course, to join us, as you know. We are here at this center to keep reminding people that they have this tremendous gift inside. We keep inviting them into this conversation. We consider ourselves so fortunate, and we know that each of us have more to do personally. Everyone here, all of us, myself included, are works in progress. We realize that we are here to learn and to grow. We're not overly worried or concerned about others because we trust life is bringing the perfect opportunities for growth and expansion to everyone and all the time. Many of us have tried to help others endlessly, only I know I have for many years as a therapist and some of my other occupations. We've tried to help people endlessly, or family members, only to see people revert back to what they choose to believe for themselves. And that's appropriate, and we understand it. What we also understand is we are in the perfect place at the perfect time and all the time. And so really are everyone else. So I invite you to stop worrying about other people and know that they are supplied and supported just in the same way you are. We release and respect everyone's spiritual journey. It's none of our business. Some people live with tremendous pain and they're tortured by their past. They're tortured by their own thoughts and their thinking. I'm sure you have observed some of these people and that you see them holding on to anger and resentments of every kind, and they're unwilling to forgive. And they're angry and they're bringing forth sickness and illness. We have compassion for them and everyone, realizing again that this is where they are. Even here in those situations, they are getting what they need. We are comforted to know that the same spirit that is in us is in them also. We trust that they are in the perfect place, receiving the perfect lessons to bring them forward. We trust life in that way. The great majority of the 8 billion people living on this planet are not fully awake, not even close. Not even close. You are the exceptional ones if you understand what we're talking about here today. Even though human information doubles every other day or two, the information that we are talking about here today does not double. There's just a tiny number of people that truly understand that they have the power that they have. People are living all over the planet, but certainly not living their best lives as of yet. People are clinging to their programming, unaware of the gifts of spirit, the gifts that lie within themselves. They look for their good in others. They look for their good in other people. They look for their good in jobs. They look for their good in courses and education, in material things of all kinds. It's very easy to observe. People are grasping and reaching out for everything, everywhere, for quick relief, quick fixes, only to find ultimately that it doesn't satisfy them. I don't know about all of you, but as I've said before, I feel very lucky to have found the New Thought movement at such a young age. Thankfully, I found Unity and Religious Science, Centers for Spiritual Living. Everything completely started to change after I found the New Thought movement. Everything really started to change after I started to teach the Louise Hay book and material. It seems just about everything I was taught had to be upended and re-examined after I came into the New Thought movement. Thankfully, I found Louise Hay's work in 1986, and at last I could really start to hear and understand what Louise Hay said when she said, "All is well." All is well. It certainly didn't seem that way before. I was all caught up in what wasn't fair and what wasn't right. I had a tendency to see the problem and focus on the problem. I could see, I would always have an opinion of what people should do. My focus was on the outer circumstances. Who was wrong? What was wrong? What was wrong? You know, you wouldn't want me on a board of trustees because I'd be seeing everything that was wrong. I didn't know anything about self-acceptance in those days, or much about peace either. And I didn't have any realization that I was creating my own reality. There were a long list of things and people that I was unhappy about at that point in my life. Some of you might know how that is. Yes, maybe you can remember seeing the speck in someone else's eye, but not being quite able to remove the bigger log that was in your own. I was living in those days in separation, right? A bit at least. I wasn't focused on the wholeness of life. I didn't realize that all was well. Thankfully, I met Dr. William Talaferro in Fort Lauderdale, another great teacher who helped me get clear on so many things in his classes. One of the keys to mastering this is attend the classes wherever you can. Wherever you can. One day, Dr. Bill, as he was called, told me that the universe is perfectly evolving. Or better, I think he said, the universe is perfectly evoluting along. It always has been, and it always will be. We suffer, the universe. The universe, Emerson said, is laying back. While we suffer, the universe is laying back in smiling repose, said Emerson. The universe is almost like it's waiting for us to wake up, right? And understand that it's all there for us. Waiting for us to discover self, to become real and animated with life and discover power, our power, to discover our unity with life, to discover how to use the power we possess. There are so many great poems on this theme that I can suggest. And I almost thought I'd read them to you today, but this would turn into a 2-hour seminar. The Conversation by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read it, understand it. God and I in space alone with nothing else in view. It's just so beautiful, and it speaks of the truth. It'll have you see that there is God in you and nothing else. Everything is creative energy, you and your creations. Everything you're bitching about, complaining about is you and your creations. Once you understand it and bring it back to yourself, you'll be quiet. Because you realize you're creating it. So you want to spend time contemplating that poem. Yes, all is well with the world. People everywhere are evoluting along. I get that now. Now, you might wish some people would understand what you know. I get that also, I really do. It would be nice, but it doesn't work that way. Your consciousness is your consciousness, and there will be always people that will never understand you. And you'll have to come to a point where you accept that. If I'll go back to biblical times, what you are is you're learning to be about your Father's business. You're learning to be about the way of spirit. You're learning to live the exceptional life. And there's just a few people that will really get you. And that's one of the reasons we come together in our gatherings. We pay for everything, Emerson said, in spiritual coin. So this magnificent, incredible aspect of our being lies dormant in most of humanity. It's been called the best kept secret of the age. Keep staying with us is all I can say, because we have a propensity to forget. And stay awake. All of our classes and gatherings will cause you to remember more and more who you are in truth. You can't lose with the stuff we use. You really can't if you stay with it. There's a quickening that will happen if you stay plugged in. There's a process of affirmative living and prayer that causes you to let go of old ideas that are holding you back. You will learn very powerful affirmations to replace these old ideas. You're invited in every call. If you're hearing us for the first time on YouTube today or Instagram, get a hold of us, get on the Zoom calls. There's time for us to share. Stay plugged in with the community, and you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. You'll feel it. You'll sense the quickening in your own life. You're invited to join with us week by week and practice seeing the opportunities and the good that's in your life, that's happening all the time. Spirit permeates everything and is all. One of the most powerful poems, after the one I last suggested, I've ever read, depicts the love and the anguish of the creative process. And that can be found in Thich Nhat Hanh's incredible piece entitled, "Please Call Me by My True Names." It's really a breathtaking poem. It'll help you see how consciousness is moving through everyone and everywhere. It can be a little bit sad too as you read it, but it clearly shows you how life is moving forward by means of every one of us. I noticed New Thought students, people that I've been observing over the past generation, a lot of people who really, really work this teaching, the ones that know simply, the ones that have something, there's something about them. And you might, as you observe them, think that they have something that you are missing. The truth is, of course, you have the same thing. Over the years, I've observed some people really communing with life in the way Ernest Holmes spoke of. And they really stand out. They stand out in the sense that they're living an exceptional life. You just can't hide those kind of people. And they might be successful financially or in the world, but that isn't really the reason they stand out as exceptional. They have what's called the X factor. It's like that. These people have a way about themselves that seems at times to be a little otherworldly, because they're really not terribly concerned about the ways of the world. They know who they are and they know what they possess, and they have the gifts of spirit. As I was preparing my notes, a number of them came forward into my mind. I was their teacher, but looking back upon them, each of them taught me so much just by being who they were. Each, in their own way, were fearlessly optimistic. And I've got 4 or 5 names here. They were gurus to me. No matter what, they were determined to live their best life, not giving into circumstances, not even for a second. Each of them holding on to faith that I could feel. I've known a few, and each of them have been an inspiration for me. I know you probably have had some like that too. And in every case, they had exceptional understanding of how life can work for them. They very simply, very happily were living exceptional lives, perhaps their best lives. We, everybody, I want to say this to you who are on this call, the extended call, we have the perfect teaching for the perfect time that we're living. We can change the world truly by changing ourselves. If you're all caught up in what's wrong with society, the ills and the injustice and the problems, and you're caught up and you have a lot of fairness issues, what's fair, what's not fair, I get it. If you are, then I'm just letting you know you are preoccupied in the outer world, okay? And you can always see what's wrong with it, right? Because the outer world is evoluting along, as I said before. And certainly this is your prerogative if you want to go there. I can't judge it. I've been there myself. I already told you some of my younger life was devoted to talking about what was wrong with just about everything and everyone, or fighting all the ills of society and protesting everything. I was very much someone who we would call other referred in those days. I didn't know who I'd come here to be. I didn't love myself much either, nor did I know how to make my life work. When we come into this teaching, if we're going to slay anything, it will be the inner dragons, the inner judgments, and the negativity. If you were sensing, well, we're going to slay all this inner, these inner doubts and fears. As we begin to love ourselves and make peace and learn to see the good in everything, the inner dialogue changes. And as the inner dialogue changes, the outer world reflects the changing. For years, I've listened to people talk about different energies. I'm sick of it. I usually just say nothing. Good energy here, bad energy here, all that stuff. And usually I say nothing. Today, I'm going to respond in a very impersonal way. There is only one energy. There's no bad energy, no bad people. There's only one energy, one source, one stream of consciousness. Stop talking about good people, good energy, bad energy. There is only one energy back of everything, back of creation, one life. If you are sensing something is bad or something is wrong, look within. Take your power back. Take a look at what you're creating. There's one power, one energy, never two. Please don't make your challenges, your problems about other people. Develop the habit of talking responsibly for what you're feeling and thinking. You are the only thinker in your world, and you can create any kind of world you desire. Go to the place where there is peace and calm and recognize this presence. Go to the place within where you know all is well and everything is unfolding in perfection. I've been getting these kind of messages, the same messages from philosophy, from New Thought, from authors like Eric Butterworth, Ernest Holmes, Louise. Everywhere I've turned throughout my adult life, I was getting the same messages and answer. There is no one ever out there that's going to save me. No God, no guru, no wise man, no saint. I'm really happy people are watching on all these platforms, and I'm asking Jimmy to track it every week. I want to see the numbers every Tuesday. We have our growth meeting. I'm really happy people are watching these lessons now and watching the rebroadcast, and more people are supporting the center and our important message. We are reminding people in every class and activity that you got this. This life is yours. You got it. It's real. You have the power. It's inside you. It's restless. It wants to come out. It wants to express itself authentically. There's something about you that's really longing to express life in a more dynamic way. When you learn more about this teaching, you will want to get connected with yourself. And as you start to wake up more and more, it becomes exciting. It becomes exhilarating. You want to join in more and more with us and groups like us. You want to be in that healing conversation. You want to keep reminding yourself that you're supplied and supported all the time, 24/7. And they may say you're a dreamer. We may be few in numbers, but we're not alone and we're not the only ones. In our classes, you'll realize that you are an individualization of spirit. You could think of yourself as spirit's son or daughter, however you want to language it. The important takeaway is the realization that you are one with power. You are one with love, and you are one with creative intelligence. And you're here to shine, and you're here to evolve, and you're here to step out of old places today. Yesterday, as Barker always said, ended last night. Let it go. We have today, and we have power today, and we have power at our disposal. And I'm hoping, and I'm knowing a few of you after this lesson, if you listen to it today or a month from now on YouTube, become more determined to use your power to greater effect. One thing's for certain as you learn to use your power, as you awaken to the gifts that you possess, your life is going to change for the better. You will also, rather, as a result, bring light to others. You don't have to teach anyone anything. The light that you are will inform people, will touch people. The life that you're living is enough. The exceptional life that you're living. I told my students before, you are 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion. In fact, there's never been anybody like you in all the world. There's a spark of divinity in you that's exceptional, and you know that. So let's fan the flames of that spark and let it shine. It's time to imagine that your life can be what your life can be like when you create a world where nothing and no one is against you. The first thing is you have to believe it yourself. You have to sense it, feel it, realize it. You might say to yourself, I am as the universe created me, in the light, in the love, and the glory. I came into this world as a being of light. I released the need to believe anything other than that. I am a being of light, living with love and creative intelligence. Release the need to listen to anything else. This is the truth of you. Embrace it. Again, I am a being of light, living with love and creative intelligence. You don't believe that yet? Some people don't, and I understand, and that's unfortunate. But stay with us, right? We often speak of the programming inside that seems to derail or sabotage us. Stick with us and stick with this teaching. You will learn how to neutralize the racket, the unbelief, the doubts, and the fears. Your anger, your resentments, your worry, you will learn how to deal with them, and they will all slip away. As you more and more learn to live and embrace the affirmative life that we teach in all of our activities, you'll be open to a great capacity for increased wellness, joy, and happiness and prosperity that has seemed up until now far off. The capacity for greater health and greater life that's been undeveloped. It's all our potential. This power is hidden inside, unused, undiscovered by most of humanity. Beginning now and beginning here and today, we can change this. At this